prized out of the government and the MOD through its freedom of information requests, that there are about 9 weapons launched for British drones every month in Afghanistan. That's about 2 drone strikes per week in Afghanistan, 2 British drone strikes per week. Now, I don't know what your definition of rare is, but that's not my definition of a rare event. Another big lie that's told about the drone wars is the kind of myth of accuracy. You know, any media report where you hear about drone strikes, you will hear the phrase pinpoint accurate or precision. You know, it's almost as though the media believed that instead of the missiles being called Hellfire or Brimstone, they're called precision or pinpoint accurate missiles. And advocates of drone strikes like to portray drone warfare as kind of like a reverse or inverse version of the rapture. You know, the kind of evangelical Christian belief that at the end of time, all the good people will be simply taken away and the bad people left behind. Well, drone advocates like to portray drone warfare as like that, except in the reverse, that all the bad people are simply taken away, leaving innocent behind. And that's a myth, of course. It's the kind of Hollywood version of air warfare. The reality is that there is no such thing as a guaranteed pinpoint accurate drone strike. And many people support the drone wars out there because they think they're accurate. But as we saw just this week, on Thursday, there was a drone strike in Afghanistan in which a 2-year-old child and 2 women, a 2-year-old child was killed and 2 women were seriously injured. And President Karzai demanded that the US, that NATO stop these strikes. And the NATO spokesman came out and apologized and said what was happened is that we aimed at this insurgent and we missed him, and then we had launched another strike, and unfortunately it killed a 2-year-old child and injured 2 women. So the idea that there is a precision, that you can launch a weapon 10 miles high, from a drone flying 10 miles high, aiming at a moving target 5 miles away, through bad weather, through cloud, and when the pilot sitting in Waddington in Lincolnshire or Creech outside Las Vegas hits the button, there's a 4-second delay. The idea that you can be pinpoint accurate with this weapon is an absolute Hollywood nonsense. The other big lie that's told about drone warfare is that, of course, that drones are an effective means of creating peace and security in our world. Tell that to the thousands of people who've been victims of drone strikes in Pakistan, or the thousands of people who've lost family members in suicide bombing in reaction to the drone strikes. Drone strikes are creating anti-Western feeling, and far from leading to peace and security, are doing just the reverse. An even bigger lie, of course, is that drone strikes are ethical because they're the only choice we have. Leon Panetta, the former head of the CIA, said they're the only game in town. The argument goes that if we don't use drone strikes, we'll have to have a mass ground invasion of Waziristan, or we'll have to use hundreds of cruise missiles. Therefore, we use drone strikes, and that makes them ethical because they cause less damage. Now that's worthy of Joseph Goebbels. You know, the idea that if you can think of something worse, it makes the option that you choose okay. On that ground, chemical weapons could be the ethical choice because you're doing it instead of using nuclear weapons. But you can choose to do anything if you can think of a worse option. It's absolute nonsense. So drones are eroding the laws of war. Drones are doing serious damage to global peace and security. And drones are seducing us away from political and diplomatic solutions, you know, in favor of taking out the bad guy, you know. Instead of doing long-term proper counter-terrorism work, we're turning into gangsters. Drones and the arms industry that are pushing the rise of the drone wars are creating global insecurity problems. And our tasks as anti-war activists, as global justice advocates, is to stop the rise of the drone wars. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chris, and I think there's a lot of food for thought for our future discussion there, and certainly a lot of things that I didn't know which we can take forward with our campaigning. Our next speaker is Elaz Jarabi, and she's going to tell us about how the arms trade in particular has affected the situation in Bahrain.
Thank you everyone for coming. I'll make this very brief because I'm not an arms trade expert, but I can give you some analysis on how I view the British-Bahraini relationship, which has affected the lives of many Bahrainis. I come from